Why is the crime clearance rate so low in the US? Posting here BC, my original post got removed from another subreddit. The US seems to have plenty of resources and a well-developed system, but how come so many cases go unsolved? I used to be a cop, and then I did crime analysis. The clearance rate for gun murders in my state was about 50%. The vast majority of murders were group or gang-related and occurred in poor urban areas. The major disputes were driven by the drug trade and territorial issues. However, more and more are caused by beefs that start on social media, shit-talking. Shootings usually involve victim and suspect, male minorities 16 to 25 years old. Interracial shooting are surprisingly rare. Most of the guns were either stolen or came in from outside of state. I think the biggest things keeping clearance rates so low is snitch culture and distrust of police. Also, in some neighborhoods, if someone wrongs you, the manly thing to do is to take care of it yourself. Not run to the cops. Because the police actually have to prove you are guilty here. High crime clearance rate is not necessarily a good thing. Look at Japan. High clearance rate, but only because they have zero qualms about throwing the wrong person in jail. Plenty of resources isn't really accurate. Overall, if you add them all up, sure, there are plenty of resources, but on an individual, location by location basis, we don't have plenty. Your local cops can do the basics, with stopping in-progress crime, handling traffic, domestic disputes, and doing some basic investigations, but more detailed crime. They aren't really well suited for that. They don't have the resources, time, and manpower to devote to serious investigations of anything that's not supercritical. So like a robbery, they'd take basic info down, but that's about it. They aren't going to dust for prints. They aren't going to canvass the neighborhood for witnesses. They aren't going to try to access every camera within a 1-mile radius, etc. They aren't really able to do that, and even if they were, they generally don't have a cop around that can dedicate the full day's worth of work it would take for something like that. Media gives people the false illusion that most crimes get solved. When I was in college, someone broke into my parents' house and stole some money, and a few gifts my parents had gotten people in advance of Christmas. Since there were no broken windows or doors, we knew 100% who it was, as there was only one person who would have any reason to know where our spare key was stored, the son of a long-time family friend, who was himself a childhood friend of myself and my brother, who had fallen on some hard times. Despite mentioning this fact to the police, they had no actual evidence to prosecute on. Police in the US prioritize revenue generation activities over crime solving. They spend their time giving speeding tickets and working on drug busts because those fund the police department, and that is more important to them than solving crimes.
Don't forget to like and subscribe so you don't miss our next exciting video.